good to have you back in the rig and heading down the road with us here on Beck News. Let's talk a little bit today with the mayor of Jamestown. He's going to be on with us later. The mayor's been accused of sexual assault without both sides of the discussion being had, all just through a tip line, all just through a hotline, all just to a local news agency, and a local news agency that, quite frankly, has been questionable when it comes to journalistic tactics for the past couple of years. So we'll visit about that. We'll get the mayor on so that he can at least have an opportunity to tell his side of all of that. Can you imagine if it's false, which many people, eyewitnesses, are saying it's false, and being the mayor of a town like Jamestown, and every time somebody Googles your name, it comes up that there was a sexual assault? He's mad. He's really mad. And we're going to give him an opportunity today to speak to what he believes is a complete falsehood, and then let you weigh in. Let you form your own opinion. But first, we're going to talk with Larry Magid. He is CEO of ConnectsSafely.org. We've had him on before. The man knows what the heck he's doing. Let's get him on. Larry, good to have you back coming down the road with us.
Nice to see you, Joel.
My sister owns a Tesla. She does. And she's starting to wonder, because she loves it. She does. Yeah. But she's starting to wonder if she did the right thing. Tell me, so she can hear from you whether or not she did do the right thing by buying one.
Well, I own a Tesla too, and I really like my Tesla. In fact, I actually go out of my way to drive it and don't feel too guilty because I'm not using gasoline. I am using energy, of course, but most of the energy in California, at least where I live, is renewable, so I don't feel too bad. There are downsides to the Tesla. One of it is its CEO. As I told your colleague Amy on her radio show, when you're that much of a billionaire, laws don't necessarily apply to you, at least so he seems to think. And so he's flaunted a number of rules and regulations, including keeping his factory open when the county said they weren't allowed to because of COVID and other things. And most recently, the issue has to do with the full self-driving beta. So there is optional software. I don't know if your sister purchased this or not. It costs $10,000 to add it to your car. That in theory gives you full self-driving eventually. Right now, what it does is it lets you change lanes automatically on the highway. It stops at stoplights. It stops at stop signs. But if you're in the beta program, as I am, it actually does drive itself. The car fully drives itself. You pull out of the driveway, you turn it on, it takes you to your destination, stops at stop signs, starts up again, changes lanes, make left turn, right turns, etc. The problem is that one of its modes, I don't know what, there are three modes. There's chill, standard, and the third one is accelerated or advanced. I'm not sure what. In that mode, it will actually do a rolling stop at a stop sign. We call those the California stop. So you've probably seen it. Look, I've done it, right? You come to a stop sign, you don't fully stop, you kind of creep in, you look around, you go forward. It does that. It shouldn't do it. It's against the law, and it's really dangerous, although, again, people do it. They claim it's not dangerous because they have cameras that are looking very carefully. They don't proceed until the intersection's clear. However, they have agreed to take that mode out. And so they're going to do what they're calling a recall. I'm sure it'll just be an over-the-air software update where you'll just get a notice, push a button on the app, and it will change the software and take away that feature, if you want to call it that.
Larry, is this all done through software on the automobile itself, or is there anything that the highway departments have to put in place so that the automobile can pick up where the stop signs are, what the lights are saying?
It's done with cameras. So there's several ways to detect traffic and anything. One is cameras. Another, in some cases, is called LiDAR, which is basically a sensing technology that wouldn't read a stop sign. And the third is to actually have a roadmap built in, which says, we know there is a stop sign on this corner. We know that this is a roundabout. The way that Tesla does it is strictly through cameras. So the theory is that humans can make those determinations, right? You and I can read stop signs. You and I can see if a roundabout is there. You and I could see a bicycle crossing the road. The cameras are looking for all those things. They work pretty well, but they're not flawless. So for a colleague of mine who's an expert in self-driving did a test with his Tesla, and he found some errors it made, and he said if it had road maps built in, if it had GPS built into the autopilot, it would be better. So I'll give you an example. There's one corner near my house where it makes a right turn from the left lane. God knows why, but it for some reason doesn't move over I was taught you move all the way over to the right and then you make your right turn. It's kind of hugging the left lane and then making a right turn. It's pretty scary. I'm hoping they're going to fix that.
Well, North Dakota, my
Yep.
Ford pickup. I have a situation where I hit a button. It tells me when I'm getting close to the center line. It tells me when I'm getting close to the right-hand side or the shoulder. Now, I use that more in the winter because I can tell when it's snowing and when it's blowing when I'm getting close, but it doesn't always work, obviously.
Right.
And then you've got roads that they're putting chemical down to get the ice off and salt down, and the salt can cover some of those camera lenses, those type of things. California, a little bit different. I understand that, but in North Dakota, is something like this ever going to work?
Well, I'll give you an example. Even in California, I was on the highway the other day. I had the autopilot on, which means it was driving itself, and there was a road obstacle. There was something on the road, a mattress or something. Had I hit that, it probably would have been pretty bad. Luckily, I saw it. I was paying attention as you're supposed to, and I steered around it. And that was scary too, because I kind of did it at the last minute, and I had to hope there was nobody in that lane. But that's an example of where I don't think it would have detected it. I don't know. It might have. I wasn't going to bet my life on testing that. You know, when I test out computers, I put them through all sorts of things that are kind of scary, maybe, but worst case is I break the computer. The worst case in the case of a Tesla is I kill myself or someone else. So I'll give it the on me. But yeah, that's an example. And even in California, if it's very foggy, sometimes the autopilot won't work because the cameras can't see. And that's the reason why you want to have LiDAR, radar, or some other technology. Musk is I don't know what I can say about him. He's stubborn. He wants to do it his way. Almost every other company. So, for example, you mentioned Ford. They're coming out with some very advanced cars, as is General Motors, and they're going to have other detection systems in addition to cameras before they go autonomous. And it'll be a while, of course, before Ford or GM or any other car company goes fully autonomous. But they do have tools like you have, which we call driver-assisted technology, that make driving a little easier.
So, Larry, I'll explain to you why I'll never get rich in the stock market. And here's why. Because I'm sitting there and I do a lot of business with a couple of Ford dealerships in the radio line of work, and I do voiceover and you know, we basically try to sell things together.
Yeah.
That being said, I knew for a fact that those farmers, those ranchers, those friends of mine, those people like me that don't do either, but yet still got to drive in that pickup. I mean, we have to, because that's how we were raised, that we would not, absolutely not buy electric vehicles.
Really?
You know what happened? The minute that Ford started taking orders for them, it went just the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was completely wrong about it. Farmers, ranchers, everybody is looking to that electric vehicle
and
now.
I am really excited about that because, you know, first of all, pickup trucks, I think, are the most popular vehicle in America. But clearly, when you get out of where I live, now, they're not that common in Silicon Valley, I have to admit. We see a lot of Teslas and we see a lot of cars. We don't see as many pickups as you're going to see in Fargo. But the bottom line is that is what's going to take to electrify Americans' cars, is the kinds of cars that people like you drive. And frankly, I can't wait to get a camper. I can't wait to get an RV that's fully electric, not only because it's electric for normal things, but I want to be able to camp and plug it in and have the heater or the air conditioner running off the AC power without having to run my engine as you would in a traditional, or an auxiliary system. So someday I want to get that RV. But bottom line is, I think that Ford was brilliant. Of course, Chevy followed it with its Silverado. When we have that F-150 and that Silverado out there for ranchers, farmers, or just folks that want to haul stuff around town, that's going to be a great innovation. And I'm glad it's getting your fellow North Dakotans excited.
I was just so excited about how quick they went to it. And here's the thing, and not to diminish North Dakotans and how they buy things, but just the sheer tradition and the power in their mind. And they had done some homework. When I got into my sister's rig, you know, I'm sitting here going, okay, you know, electric vehicle. It felt like I was James Bond. The minute I stepped on the accelerator, it was like, boom, I'm going backwards. I mean, this baby can move.
Fast.
Now,
Yeah.
that being said, I think that one of the biggest hitches in the giddy up here, Larry, is the fact that we don't have a lot of charging sites yet in
Yeah,
North
not yet.
Dakota, and that's going to be a problem.
And President Biden had built that into, I believe it's part of the infrastructure bill that passed. I always get confused between the two different infrastructure bills, but I believe the chargers were covered by the bill that was passed by Congress. The rebates are part of the next bill that's still, not there yet. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you would know. You're a former political guy. I believe it is covered.
That's the Build Back Better, and it's you've got it right. The first one defined as infrastructure, and the second one, not getting ahead of itself a little bit, Larry.
Right.
But Tesla recalling these. I mean, Tesla looking at these and pulling them back because of what you described. Does that hurt the industry?
No, I think this is a very minor little thing. Tesla constantly updating its software. I mean, at least once a month, I get a notice that I could do an over-the-air update, and I push a button on my phone, and it does it. And they add features, and they've taken away features before. I don't think that's a big deal. I think that, they're doing something pretty radical, which is trying this out, and they're letting. I read yesterday that 60,000 people are beta testing it along with me. Frankly, if I were running a company, I wouldn't do that because, as I think I said, when I test the software, I keep my foot over the brake the entire time because I never know what it's going to do. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's going to hurt the industry. I think, how can I describe Tesla? Elon Musk is a unique character. I don't know how much you know about him. Your viewers know about him. He went on Saturday Night Live and said to the world that he has Asperger's, and he's a character. I've had run-ins with him myself. They don't have a PR department. There's a lot of things they don't do that any normal company would do. He's gotten himself in trouble with the Securities Exchange Commission, yada, yada, yada. So I think he's an outlier. I think that what GM and Ford and Toyota and these larger legacy companies do is going to be important. But having said that, I give Musk credit, and I gave him a lot of my money, frankly, for being an innovator. And those people like me, like your sister, who want to be on the leading edge, look, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the ability to be testing this stuff out. But I think, for many people, we'll wait for the legacy companies to come out with their products.
So okay.
I apologize for that dinging. One of the downsides of online, I've got
Larry,
my phone just going nuts.
Don't worry, a lot of people think I'm dingy, so they just think it's me. So
dinging, not dingy.
Larry, do you think that Tesla ends up being as popular and as big a part of this industry once the major manufacturers and that isn't fair to Tesla because they are a major manufacturer now.
They're huge.
But do you think they stay as strong in this market as when Ford, Chevy, Dodge make as big of a commitment to it?
I think in terms of numbers, they're going to continue to grow. In terms of market share, I suspect they'll shrink because they will have serious competition. Right now, they don't have there are some competitors. There's the Chevy Bolt and a few cars out there, but there's going to be massive competition. And when those pickups out, and Tesla has its own pickup truck, it's really wacky looking. Looks like a spaceship. I don't think that's going to be real popular among the rancher crowd, but we'll see. I think they will lose market share, but I think it's a huge market. And they'll continue to do fine. I see no problem. I'm not giving anybody investment advice. I have no idea whether they're worth the stock price, but I do know that the company is probably going to be around and they'll mature. If you look at other companies, if you look at Google, or Facebook is a good example. Their motto used to be move fast and break things. And I know there's a lot of complaints about Facebook, but they are getting much more corporate. They've got still ways to go. But when I started following Facebook, it was a bunch of wild, crazy guys. And now it's a bunch of less crazy, less wild, middle-aged guys.
I was thinking about in North Dakota, where I live, charging stations. I live so close to Minnesota, Larry. I drive down to the Twin Cities all the time, and I can tell you 2 or 3 spots where you can charge your vehicle within 15 minutes time, which if you stop in Clearwater, for example, by the time you get a roll and go to the bathroom, that's about all the time it takes anyway.
Right.
And you don't have to monitor it like you do a gas hose. That being said, in North Dakota, we don't have that. Now, we've pulled a lot of rest areas. The sites are there, but we've pulled them. And I'm wondering if the government gets involved in that instead of private industry, Larry.